Okay, Mr. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Okay. This is the Monday, April 5th, 2021 meeting of the Palm Springs Architecture Advisory Committee. Mr. Newell, please take roll call.
Certainly, Member Thompson,
I'm here.
Member Walsh,
Here.
Member Payline,
Here.
Member McCoy is excused, Member Lockyer,
Here.
Member Dozy is also excused, Vice Chair Rotman,
Here.
and Chair Jakeway.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And I'd like to point out that because we have two members missing, Dan Thompson will be participating in the discussion and the votes on all of our items tonight.
Correct.
This is a public meeting. Audience members are permitted to comment on any issue that is within the committee's purview. Mr. Newell, is there anybody that's asked to speak tonight?
Before we jump into that, Mr. Chair, can we do a report on the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
So yeah, the agenda we posted the agenda online and on the city's City Hall bulletin on the west side of Chambers on Thursday, April 1st. So our meeting tonight has been noticed and published in accordance with city procedures and state law.
Thank you. Does anybody on the commission have any revisions to make or suggest for the agenda? And I'd like to point out that we're going to be reviewing 4 different meeting minutes, and we have 3 architectural items that are on the consent calendar.
Correct. So if there's any issues with the 3 items on the consent calendar, now would be the appropriate time to ask questions on each of those or request that any of those items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion.
So do any committee members feel that anything on the consent calendar should be discussed in further detail?
No.
And do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, John. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. Now I can say that this is a public meeting and audience members are permitted to comment on any issue that's within this committee's purview. Mr. Newell, have we had anybody express interest in discussing any item that's not on the agenda?
We have not had any specific requests to speak at this time of the agenda, Mr. Chair, but if there's anyone on the Zoom call that wishes to speak during the general public comment portion of the agenda, you may do so now by turning your microphone on as well as your camera if you would like.
I would like to point out that we did receive a letter from somebody on an item that is not on the agenda, and that was from Richard Crowley, writing to express his intense displeasure at having the Palm Springs Boxing Club building adjacent to county offices be once again considered for homeless-centered use. And that complete letter will be made part of the minutes. So let's look at our 3 different sets of minutes. David, will we do all of these as one motion once we have made our comments?
Correct. So
Okay,
all of the
then,
minutes, unless there's any revisions, I can make note of those before we act on the consent calendar. But if there's no changes, then we would approve all of them as a part of the consent calendar.
okay, minutes of February 1st, 2021. Do we have any changes or comments? I have one comment, a comment I made that's not mentioned in the minutes, and that's that the owners of the 420 building have installed a stainless steel ductwork on the side of the building running from the lower floor all the way up to the roof. And we certainly wouldn't approve that. And I don't know if that needs to be looked at by code enforcement or somebody at planning department.
Sorry, which item, what page are we?
It was the Item number 3, Bank Dispensary and Lounge at 296 South Palm Canyon Drive.
So do we need to change what we have here?
I think we just need to add that the comment was made that the ductwork has not been approved.
Okay.
Okay, minutes of February 16th, 2021. Any comments, corrections, changes? Okay, we'll move to the minutes of March 1st, 2021. I was not at that meeting, so I will not be voting as part of that. And then finally, the minutes of March 8th, 2021. Any changes, comments, additions? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Mr. Chair, I would just note that member Lockyer will be recusing himself, or will have to recuse himself related to the item number 2 for the residents on lot 97 at Desert Palisades.
Okay, we'll note that. And also, could we please note that on item number 4, we're approving that with the HSPB conditions from their meeting.
Right.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you, Dan. Second.
I'll second.
Okay, John, seconded fastest. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're moving to unfinished business. Mr. Newell?
So, Mr. Chair, this item has been requested for continuation to a separate meeting. The applicant had requested that today, so we'll request the committee to, well, we'll just note that this item has been removed from the agenda per the applicant's request, so no action will be required at this time, and it will be put on a future agenda.
Okay, thank you. So now we're into new business. Item number 6, Chris Hector on behalf of Jerry G. Johnson for a minor architectural application to construct a 990 square foot addition and alter the exterior of an existing automobile dealership's Palm Springs Hyundai located at 3919 East Palm Canyon Drive. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, good evening. As introduced, this is a project submitted by Hyundai Palm Springs. They are proposing to conduct a facade improvement and then also additions at their facility. Okay, so the project site is a 2.7 acre parcel, which is a part of the East Palm Canyon Auto Dealership Road. This parcel is located between BMW Palm Springs and then also a VIP Motors. And the project site is indicated on the screen. And the image shows the view of the existing facility. The applicant is proposing to construct a 500 square foot addition to the showroom, which is located at the northeast corner of the building. Service manager's office expansion, which is 230 square feet, as well as the construction of a 2 storage room on the rear elevation of the building. For facade improvement, the applicant is proposing to remove and replace the existing silver and blue ACM panels with black and bronze ACM panels. The applicant is also proposing to apply a new coat of paint in a Sherwin-Williams Antler Velvet and Coffee for accent color, and increase the grazing area of the primary elevation of the building, and accentuate the front entrance with ACM panels and increase the building height. The height of the building currently ranges from 14 feet and 8 inches, to 18 feet and 8 inches. And the tallest point is measured at the top of the accent panels, which is 20 feet. The applicant is proposing to increase the overall building height up to 21 feet as indicated here. The same architectural treatment is proposed on the east elevation. As you can see here, they're proposing to remove the existing grading system and then install a new one, as well as application of a new brown paint on the elevation. And this is a proposed west elevation treatment. Again, the same color treatment, new ACM panels, and new door systems. And this is the rear elevation of the building. In addition to the construction of a new tool storage room, the applicant is proposing to reconstruct the existing oil and compressor room in the rear. No square footage addition is proposed for the oil and compressor room. And these are the proposed building materials. ACM panels, number 1, as shown here, will be the underlying layer, and applicants proposing to install an upper layer in ACM 3, which is a bronze, and the joint will create this mesh pattern, as you can see in the elevation drawing. And again, desert color palette is proposed for the paint, and the GL1 is a glazing material that's being proposed by the applicant. Based on the proposal, staff finds that additions are necessitated to meet the functional and operational needs of the business. Existing silver and the blue ACM panels create stark color contrast, whereas the new desert color palette will blend in with the surrounding desert environment better. And the project will not gonna have a significant impact on the massing and scale of the building, both of which are compatible with the surroundings. And the ACM panels will add details to the building. In the staff report, staff mentioned 2 issues associated with this project. The first one is that the proposed showroom addition is non-conforming to the front yard setback, which is measured 125 feet from the street center line. And then also the plans did not provide the rooftop mechanical equipment information for staff to conduct analysis. Since the report has been completed, the applicant submitted the mechanical enclosure details as shown here. The equipment will be located on the top of the roof, which will be screened, and the finish of the screen will match the color of the building. And these 2 circles show where the equipment will be located and how the screen will look like from the side elevations. Based on what's being provided and submitted by the applicant, staff recommend that AAC recommend approval to the Development Services Director subject to conditions of approval. The first one is that the new signage shall be reviewed and approved under separate sign permit application, and administrative minor modifications shall be approved to address the front yard setback issue. And staff would like to note that applicant has submitted an AMM application to address the front yard setback issue. And finally, the rooftop mechanical equipment shall be installed in accordance with the provisions of the Palm Springs zoning code. This concludes the staff presentation, and the staff and applicant are both available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko. Do any of the committee members have questions of staff? Okay. Is the applicant present? And if so, please give your name, and you have 5 minutes to present your project.
I'm sorry, Tom, you didn't see my hand, but
I'm sorry, Robert.
I did have a question for Noriko, 2 of them actually. One, what is the current setback of the building?
Yes, the setback is about 140 14 feet measured from the center line of East Palm Canyon Drive, whereas
So-
125 feet is required.
So the existing setback is also non-conforming.
Well, correct. The existing, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I have to make a correction there. The existing building is conforming to the front yard setback. The 114 that I mentioned is the measurement that's taken from the corner of the building.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Do you have a second question, Robert?
Well, I can ask the applicant. I was wondering on the material for the mechanical equipment screening, is it going to be plastered like the rest of the building, or do they mention a new, different type of material?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'd like to direct your question to the applicant, Vice Chair Rotman, if it's okay.
Okay,
Any other questions of staff?
that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, now we can have the applicant introduce himself and tell us about the project.
My name is Chris Hector, representing VIP Motor Cars and Jerry Johnson. This design is the new Hyundai design intent, which all Hyundai dealerships across the United States will incorporate. They have gone from the, as you saw in the existing pictures, the old, what they call the blue box in blue and silver color, and they've gone to this black underlayment, ACM panels, and then the top is a veined bronze or brown. So this is something that is rolled out across the country from Hyundai itself as far as colors in the showrooms, how it's being detailed. To answer your question on the screen, the AC mechanical equipment on the roof right now is currently screened by painted metal screening up there, solid, and we will just incorporate that also and to make sure that it is not seen by the public. The two new mechanical units that are going to be placed on the roof for the showroom sit right behind, as you can see, they're circled right behind the higher showroom. So they will not be seen at all, or cannot be seen at all from the front. And as you look in that picture, the two side screens will be modified to enclose that area and screen it from public view.
Okay, any other comments from the applicant?
No, just if you have questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you. Committee, questions for the applicant? Robert?
Well, you answered the one question about the screening mechanical. So in your elevation renderings, and I'm a little confused, the AM1 calls out as being a black aluminum panel with a bronze detail. But your renderings look like it's a bronze aluminum panel with a bronze detail, and the Hyundai sign in Palm Springs are done in black. Could you clarify that for me, please?
If you look at that, the view that you're seeing, it's a two ACM panels. So where you see the Hyundai and the bronze, the first course that goes on is a black ACM panel. And then this bronze or browns is veined, and it goes on over the top of that. So the veins then are shown through in black. It's quite an impressive look if you can see it in real life, I should say.
And then what would the Hyundai sign in Palm Springs and all that? What I know we're not doing the signage, but what is the standard?
That's black.
That's black. So it's black on black.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
John Walsh?
Yes, I have a question. I'm kind of stuck back on that, on the front setback reduction. What is the delta increase of building depth that is being added?
Is that to me or Noriko?
To you, if I assume that you would have an accurate answer there.
What, Noriko, can you go to that site plan that shows, I believe you have it. As you can see there in the orange, that is the additional of the showroom that we're popping out. So we fall short of the 125-foot setback at that northeast corner.
And it is, you are increasing the position of the front perimeter wall. How far?
That's kind of hard to answer. And I'm not real clear on where exactly you're.
What the showroom at the front of the building at East Palm Canyon. It just, what triggered my question here is that looks kind of tight in there. I'm not quite sure how that functionally works.
Noriko, can you go to the existing picture also? And I think I might be able to explain it. If you look at the bottom one where the you see the blue box?
Yes,
Where
got it.
those 3 cars are, that's where we're capturing this additional square footage of showroom.
Right. It just looks like from a vehicular maneuvering standpoint, that would be a bit challenging, but
And
maybe I don't.
also to explain a little bit forward, you're seeing cars parked in front of, with a red and blue car that are parked in front of the dealership now, and those cars will all be gone, and there'll be no parking on the front of the building, and obviously on the side there. No display vehicles.
Well, as I look at AS 1.1, it looks like there are some cars sort of squeezed in there between the building and the, I guess it's a landscape.
There are now, but there won't be when the building's complete.
Okay.
Because if we can go back to the floor plan, where that red car is on the front in the current picture, Hyundai is now moving the entrance, the pedestrian entrance to the building on the front, the north facing front. As you go in the building there, you go into a reception area in the showroom. So those cars, when we're complete, there will be no display cars in front of the building.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Committee comments and discussion.
Mr. Chair, just ask that if anyone else in the audience online wants to speak on this item, now would be the appropriate time. You'll have up to 3 minutes.
Do we have any public comments from the audience?
Doesn't appear to be.
Okay, so we will conclude public comment and have discussion amongst the committee. Comments, questions?
I'll go first.
Ian,
I think that overall the building is much improved by having more glass front on it, and the color palette seems to be much more attractive. As far as the parking of the cars, I'm not sure what the city's guidelines are on that, but if you go down that street, they're all parking their cars on the street, and it's super crowded. So, taking away some parking off the street is a little concerning to me. I go down that road quite often because I'm a big car guy, and it's between Mercedes and Porsche and BMW having all their cars on the road, it's almost impossible to get down that street. So I'm concerned with them taking more access away from their parking lot. They're just going to have more vehicles on the street.
any other comments? Well, I agree with Dan. I think it's quite an improvement. One thing that they didn't point out is also that the Genesis signs, I believe that's what those are gone. So there is less signage, which I think is great. I think opening up the front of the building to face the street makes a lot of sense. And there is some more landscaping shown on the site plan. So I'm in favor of this project. Any other comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Thank you, Dan. Second?
Second.
That was from Steve. Thank you, Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to move on to item number 7. Ryan Alvarez on behalf of Walmart for a major architectural application to construct a fuel station and kiosk building located at 5601 East Ramon Road. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, 1 second. All right, so you can see the screen. The applicant has submitted a major architectural application for a new fuel station and convenience kiosk at 5601 East Ramon Road. The site is located on the east side of the Destination Ramon Shopping Center on a vacant parcel along Crossley Road. The project site consists of constructing an 8-pump gas station and a 440 square foot convenience kiosk under a 5,600 square foot canopy. It has 2 entrances along the west elevation, entrance and exit points. They'll take place from the Walmart shopping center. And there's an additional exit point on the north, which directs traffic towards Crossley Road. The proposed kiosk is a 440 square foot building with access from the exterior to all inventory. This is Walmart standard design for all fuel station kiosks throughout the country. The kiosk building will consist of various shades of gray on the metal doors, frames, and the pre-finished metal fascia. A majority of the building will have a light gray stucco finish with accent brown woodlocking panels. At the center are vending machine-like doors to allow patrons to shop from the exterior. Aside from the restrooms, there is no interior component to this building. And these are some additional elevations from all sides. The proposed canopy measures 140 feet long by 41 feet wide. It stands 17 feet tall with a 2-foot, 11-inch canopy thickness. The canopy will consist of a white pre-finished metal fascia with a signature Walmart blue paint. Lighting will be placed underneath the canopy per the photometric plan, and 10 additional light posts will be strategically placed along the site, around the site. The light poles will match the existing light poles within the shopping center. And these are the proposed elevations for the canopy. Sorry, I skipped a slide. This is, the photo on the right shows the landscape plan as it is currently. It's completely landscaped almost on all sides. There is an existing sidewalk and bus station along Crossley Road. The applicant will be removing some landscape along the west elevation to create those entrance and exit points. And for the most part, maintain the landscape as it is with some additional landscaping per the lush and efficient handbook. I'm providing this image because they are altering the monument sign along Ramon Road. they're not changing the height. Basically, they're making the stucco within it smaller. I guess the sign's smaller. They're moving the destination Ramon sign up slightly to match the top cap of the monument sign, and they're taking that horizontal element and reducing its thickness so they can fit the gas station sign price signs within this sign. Staff suggests AAC recommend approval to Planning Commission, subject to adding additional lighting within the landscaped areas, increasing the building square footage to a minimum of 750 square feet, and orienting all retail indoors per our municipal code, and submitting a sign program amendment application for all proposed signage for the site. The applicant is available for comments or questions.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions from the committee for staff?
I do. Thanks, Alex. A couple of questions. One is there, on the monument sign that you just showed, is there a restriction on the height that it has to remain at 12 feet?
I don't believe there is a restriction. I don't think it has to remain. The applicant hasn't expressed interest in, I guess, modifying it that much.
Okay. And then the second question is, it relates to the minimum square footage of 750 square feet for this type of use. Do you know what the basis of that square footage is? Why 750?
I don't. I feel like maybe this was just written a while ago, and that's the standard we wanted back then. I'm not too sure if it's relevant now, but that is written in the municipal code for service stations, is that the building needs to be a minimum of 750 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
John Walsh.
Thank you. Alex, yes, just a couple questions. I wanted to echo what Commissioner Rotman was asking about in terms of the square footage. I would be hesitant to be requiring a bump up in square footage without a full understanding as to what their functions are and why they're doing it. And the other aspect of it also is that, I know that there is wording as to opening up the retail to the exterior. They may have endless security reasons and all sorts of nuances in terms of, how they know their drill, I'm sure, on these things. So that's all. I think I would not necessarily encourage adding that on it without an understanding, but maybe we can ask them.
Alex, I have a question. Right along the property line on the left side of the parking area, there's two long ovals. Are those shown on the site plan? Are those the fuel tanks?
They are the fuel tanks, and they are located underground.
So they'll be losing all the landscaping in that area.
Yes.
Do we know if the fuel tanks can go under the paving as we see in most gas stations?
Well, they are underground, but as far as under the paving, maybe we can direct that to the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions of staff?
Um,
John Walsh.
Yes, I'm sorry, my brain slipped there. From a procedural standpoint, has engineering looked at this with respect to traffic issues?
Yes, engineering has looked at this, and they actually, he made the suggestion that on the north exit point, it only be an exit, and it exit towards Crossley Road.
Okay.
Initially, it was an entrance and an exit, and there wasn't just a right turn only, and per Rick's suggestion, this is the outcome.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant present, and can you give us your name and a presentation of the project, please?
Good evening, guys. This is Ryan Alvarez with Kinley Horner Associates. Thank you guys for hearing our case tonight. I think Alex did a great job presenting it. This is Walmart's prototypical fuel station that they are rolling out throughout the country. And just to kind of touch base on a few of the items you guys had questions about, those underground tanks will be flush with the proposed surface, so they will not be raised. They are located in that location to keep the fueling or the refilling operations with the gas delivery truck that comes in efficient and out of the way of the people that are using the fuel station, while also still trying to provide or replace landscaping that was removed from the existing conditions with the landscape island around it, as well as provide some protection for the parking stalls adjacent to that within the fuel station area. And the kind of circulation issues have gone through with Rick and kind of helped kind of alternate the entry points or exit point to provide efficient circulation throughout the site. The 440 kiosk is below the recommended or the municipal code standard of 750 square feet. Although we believe that this square footage is, as it is Walmart's prototypical building size, it's pretty much very hard to increase the square footage, and kind of increasing a square footage or a building on this site would kind of alter some of the circulation patterns and make it a little bit further difficult. We are happy to work with city staff to file a variance if needed to continue on with a building square footage less than 750 square feet, or look at other options if they become available. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the applicants? Robert?
How does their grab and go work with all the bending doors? How does that work?
Yeah, so on some of the renderings we saw there is actually a place for the Walmart employee to kind of take the payments from the people using the gas station. It is a Walmart gas station, but it is open to everyone in the public. Kind of, it works very similar to the same way it would if you were to walk into a kind of convenience store that is indoors. Be able to walk up to it and then go to the pay area that is protected by bollards there, as you see. Sales include anything from your refreshments, drinks, to, as you can see there, there's even some car maintenance items as well.
So in some ways, it's kind of on the honor system, because what would prevent somebody from just grabbing a soda and walking away?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I have is, you've got some screening at the rear of the building. It calls out for a chain link fencing with some slats. Do you have a color, or what do the slats look like?
Alex, was that presented on our elevations there, by any chance?
I don't see them.
Okay. I believe it would be kind of more architecturally integrated than simply kind of a chain link fence. As you can see here, it's enclosing some mechanical equipment and stuff. And so just with keeping that in mind, it would be a little further more developed than the chain link fence area. And we are open to take suggestions from your guys's on the material you guys would like to see for that enclosure, and obviously keeping it consistent with the rest of the Walmart shopping center and adjacent properties.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question.
Yes, Dan.
In the shopping center, in the complex, the Walmart store itself and its facade does not have any of the typical Walmart blue like the awning has, or some of these ballards. Are you open to having it match the shopping center itself? because it kind of will stand out quite a bit by having that big bright Walmart blue cover.
Yes, we are able to work with it. Obviously, you have to go have to continue to work with Walmart as well as and their kind of prototypical palettes that they have been using on these elevations and whatnot. But with the understanding that kind of your guys' recommendations to keep everything consistent is also of importance to us. So yes.
Yeah, because the store itself doesn't have any of the typical big blue Walmart colors on the exterior of it. And I think it should match the existing store.
Yeah, I think it's got a little bit more of a tan tone to it now than the blue we see on the canopy there.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would just note that when staff reviewed the pickup canopy that's in the middle of the parking lot, we also required that they match the colors on the building. So I think initially it was a bright orange, and then they revised that canopy in the parking lot to be more in line with the colors of the building.
Thank you. And David, just as a clarification, we are not approving signage at this point, correct?
Correct. We don't have a sign application as far as I recall. Ms. Perez can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they wanted to show conceptually what would be changing with the project. So the committee certainly can provide comments and recommendations on the signage, but there will be no action on signage tonight.
Thank you. Ryan, I have a question, and it kind of leads off from what Robert asked about people being able to just come up to these coolers and take something out. And then also in your mechanical yard below it, you don't show any gates or any enclosures. It seems to me anybody could just walk into that mechanical area and do mischief. So to me, the concept of being able to just open a door and grab a soda and walk away doesn't seem very businesslike. Has this been used in other places, or is this a new concept?
Yes, this is definitely a new concept, but it is in use in other parts of the country and being built currently in California, and then has a couple stores open in California. In regards to the enclosure in the back, that we have seen that comment before in regards to providing kind of protection or like a gate or something along those lines, so that it's not completely open to someone just walking into that mechanical area and being able to do funny business or anything like that. So we would be open to looking at those options to provide a little bit more of a deterrent to any kind of person walking into the back. And in regards to the kind of convenience area and going and buying goods, I don't believe there has been any major security issues that Walmart has run into before in their previous stores.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee to the applicant?
Chairman.
Was it John?
Yeah, Mr. Alvarez, I think I'm catching on. It looks as though now I understand that a patron would not step into the building, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so the two little doors that I see that match, that would be for restrooms, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And, okay, all right. So it just seems as though, and there is no interior entrance to a restroom from inside. And so I kind of wonder how, I mean, are these key blocked or something? I mean, you know, when you need to use the facility, you get a key from the retail clerk there. How does this work?
In regards to the bathrooms there?
Yes.
I believe that those would be open to the public, obviously with kind of maintenance and cleaning crews that come periodically, as well as having the Walmart employee that runs the kiosk is there as well, but they would be open to the public.
Okay, okay. This has a lot of subtle differences to a normal retail gas station facility. So it's kind of hard to get our heads around a couple things like that. But yes, I see what you're saying. And this is just like this is functioning in other parts of the country. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Committee, any further questions for the applicant? This is a public hearing. Do we have any public comments from the audience?
And I know there is Jacob Glaze, who is also with Kimley Horn and very familiar with these fuel stations, is on now. And if you guys have any kind of further questions on how the kind of walk-up kiosk and convenience retail works, it would be better, maybe better to answer your questions or in regards to any further operations questions for this fuel station.
Okay, and did you say the name was Jacob?
Jacob Glaze, yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Jacob, could you answer that question that several of us had about the security of somebody just grabbing something and strolling away?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. I apologize for showing up late. This is Jacob Glaze with Kimley Horn. Work with Ryan over on our team. I had a screaming kid in the background, so I had a little bit of issues there. But as far as these fuel stations work, as Ryan, if I could walk through a little bit of stuff, this is a new program out here on California that we are rolling out. Right now, we currently have about 14 of these under design, going through the process. 3 of which are fully built and are about to grand open within the next month across the state. These, if you guys have been to Texas, commonly found throughout the Texas market and Walmart. Walmart has not been huge with fuel out in California, just given the regulations, but they've made a huge push lately to have fuel out here. So that's what we're doing, helping them kind of roll it out across the West Coast, California, Washington, Utah, and Arizona. But as far as how the operation standpoint works, so just as your standard kind of kiosk, the kiosk kind of vending machine, the ultimate intention would be the person would walk up to this refrigerated case. It's really your chips, your soft drinks, your waters. You'll have some automobile parts in there if you need it. There's no alcohol that's sold here. From there, they'll go ahead and walk to the kiosk and purchase items at the kiosk. So they can go ahead and open the door and then walk to the kiosk and purchase the material. We have seen if that becomes an issue in terms of you guys are thinking about from a security standpoint where people are taking the items or anything else. Walmart will transform those more into a vending type where someone will have to pay for it at the actual refrigerated door case, and then it will come out, or we put locks on it or anything else. So it hasn't been an issue in any place that we've put it before. I know you guys, the great city of Palm Springs, shouldn't have too many issues with people taking stuff and walking away. But if it does become an issue, Walmart does have alternative means to correct that. But the anticipation would be the person would grab it, walk to the kiosk, wait in line, and then check out. Hopefully that answers your questions. Again, I apologize for jumping on late. 4-month-olds really don't listen to when you have meetings. So
Thank you, Jacob. Are there any further questions from the committee for either of the applicants? Okay, let's have and I believe, did we say there was no public comment or questions?
I don't believe we have any additional speakers, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Committee discussion.
I had a question for staff that I didn't ask earlier about the photometric plan.
Okay, Sean, go ahead.
Alex, you mentioned it briefly that there was a photometric plan, but was it reviewed and in compliance with the requirements for light levels?
It was reviewed and I believe it is in compliance, yes. It's in the packet. I didn't include it in the the PowerPoint. But we can certainly look at it again.
Okay, other committee comments? Well, there's a couple of things that bother me about this. First of all, I think without question, the chain link fence needs to be replaced with something that's more substantial and that relates to the materials of the shopping center or of this fuel station. I feel like all those glass doors of that cooler, it's going to be like looking at a huge fish tank. There's going to be, at night, there's going to be so much light coming out of that facing towards Ramon Road. Granted, it is a certain distance away, but it just seems an odd design feature to me. And, you know, I think about all the landscaping that's being lost by those fuel tanks. I wonder if there's a certain requirement that we might require 3 feet of dirt on top of the tank, so at least we can get shrubbery and ground covers to grow. I don't know the technical aspects of how they have to drag those hoses from the trucks to get into the tank and things, but I can certainly understand why they want them over there so that they aren't blocking the driveways with the delivery trucks. And I question a little bit the vehicular access. The northernmost driveway is coming in right where the exit driveway is, and there's very little room for cars to stack there. It might not be a problem because maybe everybody's coming out of the east side of the fueling station and then going around the top and exiting, but I would just make sure engineering is clearly happy with that. Robert?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Tom. I had concerns about the screening being chain link fence, and when they called out for slats, I was thinking they'd have these green plastic slats that we need, which is like not the right thing. I think your point that it needs to tie in with the materials on the building makes a lot of sense. It needs to be much more substantial, and it should be gated in some way. And from an operational point of view, I really question whether all these refrigerator doors are really going to work. And then if they do switch it out, what's it going to really look like? Because now you're looking at a different type of equipment, you know, that it's got, you know, coin operation and stuff. It's not the same look. And the amount of light coming out from those refrigerator doors is also a concern. So I can see, I don't know how they would increase the size of the facility from 440 to 750. I don't know if they really need to go that big, but given the way it's laid out and having access to all those refrigerator doors, to me seems like it poses a major security issue. And it might be better if they were able to expand the space a little bit and have those doors face inside, the access from inside the building. So my comments.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman.
John Walsh.
One last thing, I think I would echo the hesitation in terms of vehicular access. It just looks like a bit of an ambitious corner in terms of both the entrance and the exit there. And I'm relieved that engineering has looked at it and approved it. If there is a problem, it tends to be a bad problem. And I can think of a particular corner off of Dinah Shore with a large discount retailer where cars stacking it creates an unsafe condition. And it just looks like a lot of facility on a corner that really needs to be carefully analyzed in terms of car stacking on holidays or whatever, when there are key points at which it gets used. That's all.
Thank you. I would also, we didn't talk much about the landscape, but I think between Crosley Road and the fuel station, there should be berming such that the front of the cars, and especially if cars have their headlights on, they're not reaching Crosley Road. So the berms need to be at least as high as the hood of a car in that meandering landscape strip. And if that means having to replace some existing landscaping, I think that's more important than keeping the existing landscaping, but having a straight on view to all those cars.
Yeah.
Similar to what we require with the drive-through at fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Steve, any comments?
Nothing more to add. You guys got it
Okay.
all from my perspective.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Ms. Perez, am I able to answer some of these questions, or is it public
Sure,
hearing?
sure,
first?
sure. Yes, you can rebuttal. Yes, without question.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Again, this is Jacob Glaze, Kimley Horn. So just I took down some notes here, so I'm gonna try to answer all your guys' questions. If I missed one, definitely feel free to request some things. One thing I wanted to straighten out is the railing that's in front of the refrigerated cases that's not anticipated to be a chain link. I think it comes off as a chain link. It's more of bowlers with a mesh material. If you guys feel that the bowlers with the mesh material is an issue, I think we're definitely willing to work with staff and find something that's more comprehensive with the architecture feel of the city, as well as with the shopping center. So whether that gets replaced with some type of a wrought iron or something in that area, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
And Jacob, I don't think that's exactly, we were talking about the chain link fencing that's at the end of the building around the mechanical yard. And that's specifically called out as chain link fencing on your plan.
Around the mechanical yard. Yeah, so I think that we're happy to match that to whatever we need to do to make that remove the chain link fence. I would agree that that's probably not the most ideal situation there. I apologize, was confused on that. So I think that we can replace that to either match the mesh that's there, or if it needs to be more of a solid enclosure, I think we're happy to work with the project architect on showing that. As far as the light coming from the cases go, this and being able to be seen from the main boulevard, I don't think that's going to be feasible given how far the main boulevard is and the buildings that are going to be in between that. So I don't think that this is going to be a glare point from the main boulevard. As far as having any glare with inside of the station itself, I think there's a simple enough glazing that we can apply to the actual cases themselves to prevent any of that light from going out. I think I would say that we wouldn't want to put it fully glazed because I want people to be able to see inside of the refrigerated cases. But I think that that's a simple enough way that we could provide a little bit of glazing so that it doesn't prevent any light. And I think that we're happy to work with staff regarding that. As far as the landscaping, I would say I think we are actually over landscaped. I have done a good amount of work with inside the city of Palm Springs, and have also worked on the super center quite a few times when we rolled out a couple different things, and have worked with all you guys as well. I think that we are over landscaping. But with that being said, though, I do hear your concern about the berm. I think that's a great concept. I don't think that we'd have an issue adding a berm along Crosley Road to prevent the lights from shining into the passing cars. I think that's a safety concern. And so we definitely want to make sure that we address that. And if we need to add any additional landscaping there or in the parcel or in the property theoretically to the south, I think we're happy to do that. But I would say that if you look at the aerial that's attached here, there's not a lot of landscaping that's generally inside the center of the lot because this was planned to be a future development. And the parcel has sat vacant for quite some time. We feel that this is the best use, but should we have to add a little bit of additional landscaping somewhere, I think that we could make that work. And then as far as stacking goes, we talked with engineering about the stacking. Engineering is the one that recommended that we only do a right turn in at that one drive approach, which is what we also agreed with. And then we feel confident that we're not going to have a stacking issue on kind of the main drive coming off the main access road off of Crosley, making either a left or a right coming in, and then making another left into that main access drive. I would say for those of you that that are thinking that this is going to be a part, I'm going to say the word, but I probably shouldn't. This is not going to be a Costco, or this is not going to be a Sam's Club gas station. This is a gas station that is open to the general public. You do not need to be a Walmart Plus member. You do get a discount from being a Walmart Plus member of 5 to 10 cents, depending on exactly what level your Plus account is. But this is not a discount gas station where you're going to have that major stacking. This is a gas station such as a Chevron, an Arco, or a Shell with the Walmart name on it. So I would say, while we do expect cars to be coming from the main boulevard, as well as Crosley, as well as Walmart, you're not going to experience those major traffic congestion that you experience with the other ones. So, and then of course, we talked about facility size. The facility, this is their proto layout. This is how they build them. They're actually, for your lack of a better term, it's not a modular building by any means, but it's more of a modular base, where this is a proto design. This is how they function it. This is how they lay it out. You guys, for those of you that have worked in the development world, you'll understand that this is how it's manufactured. This is the simplest way not the simplest way, but this is the way that they're going to be rolled out across the country. So we want to try to keep to that same size. They do change the different elements on the exterior, the textures, the finishes, all that other material, but usually the box is the same size. So to try to change that box is quite difficult. So I mentioned a lot there, but hopefully I addressed some of your guys' concerns. I'm happy to further explain anything, but hopefully that addressed some of them. So thank you.
Tom, I have
Robert.
a couple of question and then a comment. The question is on that driveway to the north, that is the right turn only. It shows that it's what, I think 32.7 feet wide, and a good portion of that is striped. Is there a reason to have that? Is that an existing driveway? And they're just striking it to eliminate the possibility of turning left? Or is there an opportunity to turn the striped area into more landscape area? Or is there a fire department issue? That's multiple questions about that. And I don't know who best to answer that. Jacob, can you respond to that?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Robert. Regarding the question, our anticipation, so there's not an existing driveway. There's no issues with fire department for that. Our anticipation was that we would leave that a little bit striped. For some reason, if you have that person that's coming through in their dually truck, or somebody else that's driving a larger vehicle, in case they needed to make a little bit extra wider turn. But we're happy to run a study on our end, a truck study, or not a truck study, but a car study, and be able to shrink that drive approach to add additional landscaping there. So to answer your general question, yes, happy to add additional landscaping. Would still like to leave it a little bit wider, just in case somebody makes that turn a little bit sharp. But definitely that landscape island on the left-hand side can be shoved or widened to the right to add additional landscaping.
Great, thank you. And then the other comment I had was about the monument sign. And this is just my thought. If you can. So to me, what's nice about the original one is that there's an offset between the stone pilaster and the signage. And when you bring it up flush with the top, it's sort of, to me, it would look better if the destination Ramon actually was a little taller, maybe 4 inches, and that would give you a little bit more base, because based on the staff report, currently the base under that bottom sign is 18 inches being reduced to 6. So if there's any landscape material that could block that signage, I think by raising the whole signage thing up 4 inches and increasing that base to at least 10 inches, that actually it might be a nice change to the sign.
Thank you, Robert. Any other questions, comments? I certainly understand the concept of the modular construction. I just wonder, when you look at the floor plan, could we see the floor plan again?
I think I only have the site plan with this.
Site plan, yeah, site plan with the floor plan on it. There. You can see where they have the 2 blue fences parallel to the doors of the cooler units. I wonder if they've ever, if you would, Jacob, if your company would ever consider literally building a glass box around the prefab box so that those doors would now be enclosed. That glass wall could continue to the right till it hits the curb. So that would also enclose the area around the cashier. And it would probably get you up to your 750 square feet or very close to it.
So I can answer the question. I don't think that we've ever had that request nor looked at that. Please respect, I'm a civil engineer, not an architect or structural engineer by any means, so bear with me, but I think adding those different elements to the building would cause some concerns. And I know some of you are professionals on here, so you would know probably a little bit better than me on that. I would not ideally want to enclose more of the area than I need to. I think that if we are really concerned about people grabbing and going, for lack of a better term, I think that we could enclose or extend that kind of that blue fencing around the entire case. We could do it where it hits the building on the left, and then we could have one way in, one way out on right kind of where that ADA path of travel is on the right-hand side. And we could almost build like, you can come in one way and you can leave one way. And I think we could easily enough build something like that and enclose that area. But to answer your question, we've never had to actually physically enclose an enclosed building.
We're not going to solve that answer tonight, but I think it would be something for you to have good discussions with your design team to see what other options might be available.
Yeah, I think we're happy to look at it. Again, I think if it's the fencing, I think that's something that we can look at. If it's re-enclosing the building, I would have some just concerns from that standpoint, but I'm happy to have that discussion.
Well, and also don't forget our desert environment here. It's awfully hot for 3 months. So to have an air-conditioned space to do your shopping might be more desirable. Any other comments? Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion that we continue this item and that we ask the applicant to consider our comments specifically relating to a landscape berm along Crosley, potential for additional landscaping at the exit driveway, possible concepts to make the shopping area more secure, changing the color of the blues to match the Walmart colors that are on their main store on this site, and seeing if it's possible to get some earth on top of the fuel tank so we can get at least some shrubbery there. So if we could see a revised submittal addressing as many of those as possible, I think it would be important. Robert?
Sure, may I add, looking at the chain link fence around.
Oh, yes, thank you. That, and also incorporate Robert's comments about the sign, a monument sign. John, did you have something else to add?
No, it was the chain link fence. I wanted to get that in there.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of continuing this item? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you for you guys' time tonight. Looking forward to coming back and presenting something else to you guys and going from there. Ms. Perez will be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay. Grit development. Do we need to take a 5-minute break before we move to the final item?
No.
Nope. Okay. Item number 8.
Roll on.
Uh-oh. Did someone say yes?
No, I said roll on.
Oh, roll on. Okay. Item number 8, grit development for a minor architectural application for the construction of a new 7-foot tall wall to enclose an existing courtyard for the construction of a pool area as part of an adaptive reuse of an office retail building to a suite hotel located at 125 East Tockwitz Canyon Way. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you see the screen full, the whole length of the screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. All right, so as you mentioned, this is a proposal by Group Development for Plaza Las Flores. Let me advance it here. So the proposal is the building, which is located at the corner of North Indian Canyon Drive and East Takowitz Canyon, is to convert the building, which currently is an office and retail building, into a suites hotel. And this, the request is to convert the courtyard, which is at that corner, into a pool lounge area. So that is the proposal that's here today. So what they would need to do is to demolish the palapa that is currently on the corner and replace it with a wall that will act as a pool barrier and also a privacy barrier for the use within the courtyard. So looking at some photographs, this is from the applicant. The Plaza Las Flores development spans the whole block from South Palm Canyon Drive, where the Ben & Jerry's is, around the Wellwood Murray Library, along Takowitz to the corner of Takowitz and Indian Canyon. And then it goes farther south next to the La Plaza building, where the current Palm Springs substation police station is. So in your packet, there is a floor plan that shows the layout, and you'll notice that it involves converting some of the rooms on, putting some rooms on the first floor, and you'll see on the top right is the pool / hot tub lounge area that currently is the courtyard for the building. And then on the second floor, these are the suite units, which encompass 1 and 2 bedroom and even a 3-bedroom unit. So just to discuss the conversion of the building into a hotel, if there are kitchens involved in these units and only one of them in the whole building has a kitchen, then it can be done through a land use permit. But if the rest of the units, more than one, has kitchens, the project would require a conditional use permit. But that is not before the AAC today. Today is you are looking at the design of the wall that's proposed. This is a site plan showing landscaping, and we'll get into a little more of this as we go on the project. So one item that staff let the applicant know is that we do have a downtown urban design plan that was part of the general plan. This was approved in mid-2000s. And these are some of the details of the plan. And the corner, as we know, the corners of the downtown are very important. And the current design of the building with the palapa has some of these elements that the design guidelines likes. It likes towers, it likes detailing. There needs to be display windows for the first floor that helps create pedestrian interest. Distinctive architectural elements that are incorporated into the design, structures placed on street corners that define the street edge and create a visual and pedestrian interest. So there are several options that are here before the AEC today. When they first came in, we have worked with them to present the plans that are before you today. So the first one is what they're calling a tile, using tiles that are currently on the dome, colors that are similar, triangular squares. And in this drawing that's before you, you'll notice that the wall has been pushed and pulled, and there's alcoves, and there are wood slats that provide light and air moving throughout the wall. And this is in the original design, it was a flat wall, and staff worked with them to come up with these options for you today. So this is a 3D rendering showing how the wall undulates. Actually, this was presented to you in your packet. They have since changed this, and that is this drawing here. So they've added another planter. They've pushed the wall back. Staff was concerned that the hard edges, when the wall met the sidewalk, that it would be, it needs to be softened. So this is what's before AAC in this option. Now, the landscaping that's proposed is not defined, and that would be one of the recommendations that a more detailed landscape plan be presented so we know what these plants will be like. And if you know, in the downtown, when there's a wall that's about 24 to 36 inches tall, it ends up being a bench or a sitting spot. So that may be something that the AC wants to address. So this is the street version looking at it from the corner. So the wall is, as proposed, is 7 feet tall. Staff feels that that is taller than it needs to be. If you've been in that courtyard, it slopes down to the edge of the building. So when you stand inside the courtyard, the street is actually a little bit higher than the courtyard itself. I'm not sure when they do the grading and digging for the pool area, if that how the grades would work. We don't have a drawing showing that. But this is showing the colored wall tiles, and then the wood slat screen, and how all the setbacks work from the wall to the slats to the raised planters. So moving on to the option 2 is a clay tile. And when I say clay tile, it means the barrel tiles that are on the roof, that we're looking to incorporate those types of tiles into the design of the wall. And you'll see again that it undulates, and the design that is sent to you in your packets, this is that. They've since changed it. So this is the 3D rendering showing the planter areas. But this is the new design showing more planters on the corner to provide an edge. This is the design, 7 foot tall. It uses a mixture of concrete as the base, and then the clay tiles. And this was similar to some of the the walls that we see around town that are masonry blocks. There's this curved wall. This is a site plan showing how the pool would work and how the wall undulates around the corner with some sort of feature at the corner. Now, in the commercial zones, the corner cutback is 10 feet. So we would have to look at where the property lines are and how these corner cutbacks work. Obviously, where the plop is now, that is a solid wall, and vehicles are able to see around it when they pull up to the intersection. So that is one thing that we would need to review more detail with our engineering department. When staff first saw the application, we talked about maybe a wall that was similar to the design of the building, and what would that look like? Something that had Spanish elements to it, that was softer, that was more in keeping with the Spanish colonial, and they presented this option. This is not the preferred, but you'll see that it could be stucco, it could have columns, it could have gates that look in, and then there's a sort of a tile feature on the corner itself that cuts back. Landscaping, they're proposing a series of palm trees and other lush landscaping within the courtyard. And then, as I mentioned, the landscaping on the street side of the wall is still a little up in the air. This plan doesn't reflect what the options are that we just saw. So that's one thing that staff would want to have a more designed and detailed plan for landscaping. So our staff recommendations is that the wall meet the intent of the downtown guidelines, and then any wall should be lower. So Chair, that concludes my report. The applicant is on the Zoom call, and I know that there are general public comments that would like to be made.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee for staff? Glenn, I'm looking at their site plan 4.0, and along Indian Avenue, there's an area they call out vehicular drop-off created. And it looks like it's cutting into the sidewalk. Is that the situation?
Right, that we did address that, and that would not be permissible. The sidewalk is not wide enough As you know, the city changed the streets to two-way and that is, and they can address that. It's not in the offering.
So there's no place for anybody to approach this vehicle, this project in a vehicle. There's no drop off, there's no bellman, there's no nothing. Is that correct?
Well, in the packet, it talks about how they would operate. So it's in conjunction with the Rowan Hotel. And I'll let them describe that better, but the front door, the entry actually is off of Takowitz. It's not at this corner.
But still, there's no drop off or vehicle parking there.
There's not.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Glenn, I have another question. I know we're seeing the floor plans here. Are they changing any of the exterior walls of the building, or are they able to use the existing pattern of windows and doors and build this new floor plan around it so that the building walls of the exterior of the building are not going to change other than it's repainted?
So the application today is for the walls only. Staff does not have enough information to answer that question because we've not seen, and the applicant may be able to address that. But I mean, there was discussion of painting the building and updating the colors. And once again, that would have to come back as a minor architectural, but that is not before us today.
So we're only looking at a minor part of an overall project. We're just looking at this perimeter wall. We're not discussing the building, the colors, the signage, the use, anything like that.
Yes, we'd like to get your comments on the proposed wall.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee to the staff? Okay, is the applicant, can the applicant give us their name and their presentation, please?
Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Michael Katsibis, and I'm from CAP Studios. We're the architects on the project, working with Grit Development to come up with this. The main goal of the project really was to bring Plaza Las Flores back into life. So we had numerous discussions with Grit Development and ourselves about what is the best use, how do we reposition this building, how to reactivate it and make it a positive contributor back to downtown Palm Springs. And that was kind of the initial bit of the conversation. And we kind of, because of the way the building is situated, it's quite landlocked. There's not much street frontage. Second floor retail, second floor office, those types of spaces are very difficult at the moment. And, the Plaza Las Flores itself has been, underused and underloved for some time. And that's down to economic forces and the way the retail has changed. It's also due to how the building's situated and positioned. And so those are all factors and considerations that we took into account when discussing, what could it be, big skyscraper, what's the best use for this building? And we settled on the extended stay suites. And that was kind of a good option, both for how the building is currently designed and situated, and the fact that it is off the main street, it is kind of set back, you have the courtyard. So that lends itself to a different use in terms of the extended stay suites. And in those conversations, a hotel in Palm Springs, everyone want a swimming pool there. So that kind of became part of the conversation as well as how do we position a swimming pool? How do we make that use? How do we make it attractive? And the kind of the natural location became the courtyard on the corner that we were looking at. So that was kind of where we got to with the swimming pool and why it was necessary as a kind of a background bit of information. We were looking about privacy and how do you control access and security to that pool? How do you make that inviting and warm place to be, but also, more importantly, how do you engage with the existing building and make this pool wall tie into the existing building? And also, how do you make it pedestrian friendly and engage with the street? So those are all kind of topics of conversation that we've had with city staff amongst ourselves and trying to kind of come up with a unique, clever design that is kind of pays homage to the fantastic architecture in Palm Springs, but does it in a clever way. So, we discussed the traditional Spanish wall. And like we said, there is that route, and we're not disregarding that for a second. That's definitely on the table to look at. But then there's also certain elements of the building that could be taken on and done in a creative way to kind of make a bit more of a statement or make a bit more of engagement with the street. So that's where the two ideas came from for the tile dome. You have these fantastic colors on the tile, on the dome with this pattern. So there's this idea that can we take that and create a very visually stimulating, almost graphic wall, but then integrate into that some layers and steps to that. So there's the wood slats, there's the steps back from the facade. And the idea was that you had blocks of color at one end, and I know that the downtown guidelines is to create a corner feature, and the idea was that all the blocks of colors came together and we created this bright mosaic on the corner, and that kind of was the corner feature. Whether that's too subtle and not enough in your face for the downtown, that realm of it, but that was kind of the idea behind it, was to create these blocks of color that kind of collided together and formed the wall. The second one was the idea with the clay roof tiles. So that was looking at the kind of the breeze block that's prevalent in Palm Springs, but also ties in with the existing building. So that was trying to use the clay tiles in a clever way to create some depth. It kind of fades from a very solid wall at the bottom, then fades to a very open wall at the top. And the idea is that the open wall at the top kind of allows light and a sense of airiness and openness. So it's not just a solid wall falling down. So you have some visual stimulation at the high level, but at the low level there is still some kind of privacy and screening. We introduced the undulating walls and some planters to kind of create some recesses and some alcoves. And that was kind of the idea behind that. Also tie into the stucco of the design as well. And then the third option was the traditional one that we presented. That kind of picks up on the style of the building in a much more literal way. You have some column piers, some stucco, and a tiled wall corner feature. And all these here, and the reason why we're kind of presenting now is really to have a conversation with the city about the design of the wall, to really have a conversation and engage you. We're not dead set on any one path. There's loads of different ideas, loads of different things. And what we really want to do is use this opportunity to work with the city, to work with you all, to come up with the best design solution that we're all happy with. It's a fantastic idea. There's kind of very different ideas out there, and we can all talk about their merits, which I'm sure there hopefully are some merits. So we can talk about that and kind of have a conversation about those things as well. And also that's kind of, in terms of the other, the wider picture for the building itself, the aim of revitalizing and repurposing the hotel is also to be able to refurbish it at the same time. So repainting it, replacing the windows, upgrading the services, all those things that you need to do to kind of make sure that a building has a long lifespan, putting a new roof on, re-roofing certain parts of it, all those things that make sure that the building has a long lifespan. You need to have some economic thrust behind that at the same time. And that's what this proposal aims to do, is really make this building part of downtown Palm Springs again, bring it back to life, have it contribute to the livelihood, the life of Palm Springs. There will be guests coming and arriving, which will then contribute to the restaurants, that will contribute to the shopping, that will contribute to the whole aspect of it. And then also in terms of how we plan to service the hotel and the vehicular drop-off that you touched on. The plan is to be in partnership with the Rowan, as the conversations are going on now. So drop-offs will happen at the Rowan. The concierge service will be at the Rowan. So anyone arriving at the hotel will be dropped off at the hotel, and the luggage can be brought over by the staff of the Rowan. And then that's kind of the idea about the arrival sequence behind the hotel itself. There won't be any kitchens, so we're not proposing to do any kitchens. That's not something that's in the proposal. So that part of that, the use permit is not really what we're here. So what we really want to do is have hopefully a great and informative discussion around the design of the wall, and kind of come up with the best solution for that and take on board all of your comments. So thank you again for your time, and I'm happy to speak to any of the issues.
Thank you, Michael. Committee, do we have any questions of the applicant? No questions of the applicant. That was a good presentation, Michael. Mr. Newell, is there any public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have people who are on the Zoom call who would like to speak. So if anyone who is on the call that wants to speak, you may do so now. Please turn on your microphone. You'll have up to 3 minutes.
And please give us.
Hi there, good evening. This is Dan with Oscars, the current tenant at 125 East Tockwitz. Can people hear me?
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to make one small comment just for the record. This corner has always been lively. Ever since I took over from the previous tenants, I personally have strived to create a center of entertainment here, and that's what I've accomplished since 2016. is creating a lively place for the tourists and the residents of Palm Springs. One of the biggest issues, and I'm basically speaking for my customers, is the tea dance. The tea dance is a historical, cultural driven event that happens every Sunday pre-COVID. It's something historically has represented the gay community, which is a big part of this city. And it's something that is a staple of this community. And I'm very concerned about my future in this city. And I have a good relationship with Michael Braun. I respect that gentleman very much. He's been very generous to me. But I am concerned, as this project moves forward and my future and the future of tea dance. And my customers kind of pushed me to be involved and make my voice on record regarding this project, because they're very concerned about the cultural driven historical aspect of tea dance, and that's been celebrated here every week pre-COVID, and we plan on continuing that once COVID restrictions are lifted. But I have offered, and I've worked with Michael the past years to expand Oscars. So I think there's a future. I know Michael and I will be meeting tomorrow regarding my future and him helping me and assisting me on Oscar's future. But as far as making this more lively, this is definitely a lively corner. If you ask any local resident here, Oscars is a thriving business, and I look forward to my future, but just very emotionally attached to this corner and disappointed in all of this. But that I just want to put my voice on record for my customers from Sunday. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I believe there's some other members of the public on the call. If you would like to speak on this item, you may do so now. You'll just need to turn on your microphone. Doesn't appear we have additional speakers, Mr. Chair. So the applicant has a 2-minute rebuttal if he wishes to use it.
Yes, Michael, do you have any comments in rebuttal to what Dan said?
Yeah, Michael Brown's going to speak, but I have been having conversations with Michael about that, and they are working very closely with Oscars and Dan to find a future for them that is, a great solution for everyone involved. I know they've had intense conversations, and the plan is definitely not to, get rid of Oscars or kind of that. That's the intention, and the intention is definitely to work with them going forward to make sure that there is a solution to that, and that they come to kind of, some kind of terms to where that might happen.
Good to hear.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I might add, this is Michael Braun. We met with Dan already in February and showed him some alternative sites where we could relocate them. So we're going to meet with him tomorrow again to explore the opportunities. We certainly view him as a good operator and definitely would like to keep him in the portfolio.
Good to hear. Thank you. Okay, committee, any questions for the applicant? We already did that committee questions. Let's have committee comment amongst ourselves. Who wants to make the first comments? I don't see any hands.
Well, I can start.
Okay, Sean, thank you.
Yep. Out of the options presented, it seems like the second option for the wall, to me, looks more appealing. It seems to more obviously align with the aesthetics of the building because of the tile, or at least maybe selecting a color tile that could match more closely to the existing roof tile. Might be a bit more appropriate, but I would say I'm in favor of that second design. And I think, though, with Glenn's suggestion of altering the wall and plan view, maybe more like the first option where there is some softening and landscape on the exterior, not just that, maybe that hard surface where the sidewalk meets the wall shouldn't be allowed, but step that wall a bit to allow for more planting on the exterior, I think would also enhance. So I guess those are my two comments. The the color of that barrel tile that's being used as part of that wall and fence aligning more with the existing roof tile. And the landscaping on the exterior. In terms of the height, I'm not sure why it couldn't be 6 feet, although there's quite a bit of perforation at the top of this second design. So I think if it were the second design and there was that varying height play of, you know, perforation between 1'6" and 2 foot tall towards the top of that wall, then it wouldn't bother me if it was 7 feet, provided again it was stepped back and there was some undulating landscaping between the sidewalk and that wall. Otherwise, exciting project, I think.
Thank you, Sean.
Mhm.
Thanks, Sean.
Other comments?
I have a comment.
Who am I hearing? Dan?
This is Dan. Hey, Glenn, wasn't there a third option of the wall that you put up on the screen that's not in our packet?
I'm hoping that was that old original one, Glenn, that's getting jettisoned.
It was the traditional one, I guess is what we were calling it. Do you want me to pull it up here?
Yeah, I kind of want to see that. Sean, are you saying you like the one with the barreled roof tiles? Is that the one that you like?
Yeah, the barrel roof tiles. To me, that third option, which I thought Glenn explained as being a very preliminary option that I think have been tossed aside. And
can you see that now, the traditional one?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page as Sean and see which one he was talking about.
Yeah, the one Glenn's showing right now is the one that I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with you in thinking that it needs to undulate more, maybe have some openings, maybe like the tiled one has, just to add some more interest to it. And I don't think that if it was 7 feet tall with having some of the opening at the top, that it would be all that visually blocking. That I think it would actually look better than just having a solid wall all the way up.
Great. I mean, I think we've looked at kind of undulating the wall more. I think I've said, kind of following on from getting Glenn's report last week, have updated that to introduce some planters and undulating planters in that as well. So kind of that kind of step of the facade has changed and been updated since then. We looked at planters very initially on, and just trying to think about someone stepping on the planter, climbing over, and those types of issues is one thing that we were mindful of. Or as you mentioned, people sitting on the planters and things like that you don't want to have those ledges in the city necessarily. So those are the kind of initial conversations that we had around the planters, and that's just something that we were mindful of. Yeah, so there's the updated version where there's kind of more the planters curve out of the wall itself as well. So that's kind of stepping within that. And we might be able to break the curve itself and plan so that there is that break in the wall. So it's not just one solid wall. So there is an actual physical break. Maybe it's more like S shapes that are interlocked together rather than one continuous curve. So there's definitely ways of thinking about breaking that up as well.
And Michael, it might be kind of cool if you did do more kind of breaking it up in more S shapes, and then where it did break, if you use that same roof tile that went all the way down to the ground and became
exactly.
The wall.
Yeah, that could be beautiful. So that the infill between the end of the S's was the barrel vault coming up. That could be really nice.
That's my only comment.
This is a really good view of it here, showing more landscaping and planting on the exterior side, and it looks great.
I don't think either design relates to the existing buildings at all. I mean, yes, they're using some of the materials from the building, but the size and shapes are fairly foreign. As I look at this project, it's heavily detailed with a lot of Cantera trim and moldings, fascia moldings. I would ask the applicant to consider looking more closely at their offer number 3, but actually put some Cantera framed window openings within that wall. You don't have to have clear glass in a window, but I think if it feels more like you're walking along and you're looking at a storefront, would be such a better pedestrian experience than looking at a big solid wall.
Your point's taken. Yep, go ahead.
And it would tie it into that existing set of details and materials so much better.
No, I mean, I take your point about, I think what we were trying to achieve with, especially the barrel of the clay roof vault was, having it be open at the top to not, so it wasn't just a hard solid wall, introduce the planters at the bottom. So there is some change in the plan as well, introduce these breaks. I'm not against the traditional wall by any means. I do feel like it might be a bit of a missed opportunity. I think that the reason why I say this is, I think that there is clever ways of referencing the existing building and the kind of the history of Palm Springs. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to just, do some columns and some coving. And I'm not belittling that by any means, but I just, as an architect, it's always interesting to take on aspects of a building or take on certain aspects of the building and think about it in a different way. Oh, take the roof tiles and turn it into a wall. That's, for me as an architect, that's what excites me. I find that interesting. And I think, some places as Palm Springs as kind of known for architecture and known for doing interesting architecture, that's a bit different. I think just replicating the traditional wall might be a missed opportunity. But again, if that's the kind of direction and the city feels strongly that's the best way to go, then I'm, of course, we're more than happy to take that on board. It's just not something that, I think there might be, a more interesting conversation to have is all I'm trying to say.
Anybody else? Robert, do you have any comments?
Yeah, am I unmuted? Yes.
No, you're on.
Yeah, so the first option with the tile, I think, is really wrong. So
fine. You're not the only one who's told me that, so fine. Michael Brown and I both love that option, and everyone else tells me it's horrible, so it's fine.
I find the second option interesting. I have a little concern with the clay tile that over time somebody's going to break them, and then it becomes a real maintenance issue.
Yeah.
And the third option, I think, is almost too boring, and as you said, a missed opportunity. I think there's something. There's got to be a fourth option, and something that is creative and plays off the building, but yet not necessarily in such a stark contrast as the first two options. Definitely, you need much more landscape buffer between the wall and the sidewalk. I think the latest versions are a big improvement. And yeah, so I think the third option is a little too traditional, but I think there's probably something in between that would work.
And
Yeah.
Robert, to work off your comments just a little bit, I would think that I don't see any reason to limit it to a 6 or 7 foot high wall. If it feels like the wall of a building and it's 8 or 9 feet high, but that ties the entire project together, that might be something that people should consider. I'm not saying for sure. I wouldn't want either of these walls to be 8 feet tall, but if a reconsideration of another alternate finds a little extra height helps, I would think that would be something we should consider.
I would agree if there's penetration, so that it's not, if there's an arcade or colonnade that's replicated that really is, then you could go higher. Because as you look at the elevations along Tockwitz, there is a very strong arcade or colonnade element. But I also know that walking that close to an 8 foot high wall on the sidewalk is going to be very imposing. And you just, I understand the need for a pool, but really what this building needs is a traditional Spanish courtyard that you enter into with a fountain that is open to the public, and your entrance to the hotel is through that courtyard. To me, and I know you're sacrificing the pool, which is a big element for a hotel, but that's what this project is calling out for, in my mind.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that if this hotel is going to be partnered with the Rowan, the guests here maybe could use the pool at the Rowan. But I think one of the most successful spaces in downtown is the outdoor plaza at Starbucks. And the way that carries people through the art next to the Rowan Hotel, it's become a huge positive addition to downtown. I think this corner could also do that same. It could suddenly make Indian Avenue feel important if it had something there. I mean, back in 2005, when the city did their downtown urban design plan, it specifically at that time said that this palapa, as they called it, should be removed and that should be an open plaza on the corner. So I know that's a huge business decision to not have the pool, but I think as a design decision and as a contribution to the city of Palm Springs, that would be a great way to go.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. Yeah, John, go ahead.
I just add a couple comments. It feels as though there is it's an intrinsic conflict between the needs of the pool and the privacy that you want around it and locating it at the corner. The problem isn't the design, the problem is the architectural program. And what you've got here is a corner that has plenty of potential to be animated, fun, visually exciting. And you've got the building behind it that's kind of kooky, a little bit eclectic, very penetrable, lots of texture, lots of things going on. And it's sort of like the last thing I think you would want to do is to sort of rim the whole thing with a 7-foot-high wall. I am very empathetic with the problem, but it just seems like the real root of the problem is deeper in the architectural program. I think that we can throw a lot of energy and creative ideas at trying to do a better wall, but it really doesn't, it certainly doesn't maximize the full potential of that corner. It's kind of like a wrong direction. I'm sorry, I don't have something more constructive to add, but it really feels like there is a root problem here that isn't being tackled.
Thank you, John. Steve, did you have something?
No, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. It does feel like it's creating a bit of a hard barrier on that corner that is going to be, you know, it's detrimental to pedestrian traffic in that area. So, you know, I think if there was a way to maybe there's a way to shrink the pool slightly. Maybe there's an option to look at how you could use it for access as well as have pool access in that area. Not sure there's enough room to do that, but certainly, you know, the pool seems large and a lot of lounge seating that may or may not be used. And if they had access to the Rowan pool, a lot of people might go there as well. So maybe by changing the program a little bit, we could get the best of both worlds, I thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think what we try to balance that. I think, you know, to bring the rest of the building back to life, you know, you have this building that is kind of set back from the street, and to bring the whole entire site back to life, you know, the pool seems, you know, as something that is, you know, that it wants something there to make that building viable, because I think that with the rest of the building, the way it's situated is always going to be a hard sale for anyone trying to occupy that building. Mm-hmm. You know, just because of the way that it's positioned and the way that it's arranged. And I think, you know, that you know, you have to kind of think about the greater good in a certain sense. That, yes, you know, I totally understand your points and where you're coming from, but there's also kind of the entire site that has to be considered as well. And you know, without that, you know, the pool is a very kind of, you know, vital aspect of the hotel's program to make the whole entire building come back to life and fund that as well. So I think that's kind of, you know, what we're also thinking about is not just the corner, not just that, but it's also the whole entire project scope that we've been considering.
Right.
Committee members, any further comments? Do we have a motion?
Is this really a motion? Isn't this just discussion?
Yeah, let me ask our staff member, Mr. Newell, is this just giving comment and suggestion to the applicant for coming forward with a more refined, because I've never had an application where we're given two choices of A or B. So is the intent that they come with a final solution, or do we need a motion?
Yeah, so because this is an application that has been submitted, it would be appropriate to take a motion today. It sounds like the committee has asked for some additional study of the various designs, the program, the layout. So based on those comments that we have noted, it would make sense that the item be continued for further study. And then come back for a revised design based on the comments that the committee has given.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. Do we have a motion to that effect from a committee member?
Chairman, I would make a motion to continue.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
John Lear is opposed. Locklear, excuse me. Okay, thank you very much. Now we move on to our last item, which is staff member comments.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to update the committee on one item that the city is currently doing. The city is currently doing we're implementing an enterprise system. So what that means is basically we're transitioning to an electronic system. So although currently we're taking all of our applications in electronically, by the end of the year, we expect that would be, we would only be taking electronic submittals instead of paper copies. So as this system is being built out right now with the launch date probably in December or January, I just did want to give the committee an update that although right now we are currently doing hard copy packets, just wanted to let you know that we do expect the future agendas probably towards the end of the year, early next year would all be electronically, so you would not be receiving the hard copies at that time. So I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up about that, to let you know that would be coming later this year, probably December, possibly January. So obviously I know that's not easy. A lot of times we like to mark up the exhibits that we get and write notes on them. So, you know, as much as we can help prepare the committee with that transition, we certainly will. You know, if we need to provide some additional or a larger screen that the committee members use to review plans, we can discuss that with our IT office to see if that is a possibility. But I did want to just give everyone a heads up about that.
David, is this being done mostly as a cost-cutting item?
It's a couple of things. It is a cost-cutting item. It's an efficiency item. It's to reduce paper. It's to reduce staff time to prepare all of the packet materials and kind of consolidate where we can. So it's a few different things.
Thank you.
Is this open for comment, David? If somebody wants a paper packet, is it impossible to get one?
From the direction I've received, at this point, we don't plan on moving forward with any paper copies. So again, you know, if we, as I said, as we get further along in this process, we'll keep you updated. And if there's ways to help the committee get the needs met that they need in terms of print copies or a larger screen to review materials, you know, hopefully by the end of the year, we're meeting in person. So you'll be able to, you know, see everything on the bigger screens when we are back in public meetings, in-person public meetings. But as far as reviewing materials at home, the plan is at this point not to distribute paper copies.
Well, I would want to encourage you to carry word back. That I think that in a lot of cases, there are things we can all tell you as architects working on things on a screen, you miss things. And along with the idea of being able to mark up a set I mean, you know, it's just such a process to kind of go through and thoroughly understand something and have time to linger and all. It's not necessarily, not to dissuade you from looking at new ways of doing things, but a bigger screen really wouldn't be replacing a paper copy. So sorry to be the crank here, but.
I understand. I understand.
Thank you.
So anyway, we'll keep you updated on that as we move further along in the year. And then if there's something that, you know, you want to talk to me or Flynn about, we certainly are open to hearing it.
Thank you, David. Do any of the committee members have comments on anything else? Okay, our next meeting will be Monday, April 19th, and we are adjourning tonight at 7:27. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Record time for 8 items. Thank you.
Yeah.